Yes, good evening and welcome to tonight's State Assembly District 4 Candidates Forum. I'm Melissa Fulton, CEO of the Lake County Chamber of Commerce, and I'll be this evening's moderator. The Chamber directors are pleased to provide this public service so you, the public, have the opportunity to learn more about those running for this important office. The forum this evening will be 60 minutes long. Thank you to everyone for joining this virtual presentation. The Lake County Chamber would like to thank everyone who submitted questions for the Candidates Forum. We currently have 26 questions. I'm not sure that we will be able to get through all of them, but we will do our best. If you submitted a question and you don't hear your exact question, it was necessary to, in some cases, blend the questions or merge the questions together so that because there were duplications of thoughts. And it is not possible during this virtual forum for us to take any questions during the evening. Our ground rules are these. In the essence of time, due to our 60 minutes, each candidate will be muted as the other candidate is speaking. In this manner, we should be able to get through all the questions, we hope. There will be no rebuttal to answers allowed, again, being sensitive to our 1 hour time constraint. Each candidate will be given 3 minutes to introduce themselves at the beginning of the forum and to present their statement. When a question is asked, following those opening statements, each candidate will get 2 minutes to respond. At the end of the forum, each candidate will again get 3 minutes for a closing statement. Our timer this evening is Joe Castile, and I ask our candidates to pay particular attention to Joe because when you have 30 seconds left of your time period, Joe will hold up a sheet that says 30 seconds. And when your time is up, he has a red sheet that says stop. So, and I know in our candidate forum a couple of weeks ago, sometimes our candidates were so intent and involved in their thought process that they missed those signals. Videotaping for this evening's event is Sam Houston of Houston Productions, and we appreciate his time in providing this valuable public service. This is being live streamed on both the County of Lake and the Lake County Chamber Facebook pages. Jake Renke from the County of Lake is facilitating the Zoom portion of this forum. Both of these gentlemen do this on a regular basis for the Board of Supervisors and Planning Commission meetings, so they have lots of experience. So at this point, I would like to introduce Assemblymember Cecilia Aguiar-Curry for her opening statement. And welcome, Assemblymember, and thank you for participating.
Well, thank you very much, Melissa, and the Chamber directors, Lake County residents, and also to Matt Nelson, who this is the first time I've ever met Matt. So thank you for meeting today, and I think this could be an interesting conversation by all means. I first of all want to thank all the people in Lake County. They have been very receptive. It took me a couple of years to build trust because I was an outsider. I live in Winters, California. I was the mayor of our small community. I was very involved in local committees. I was on the Yolo County Water Agency, the Housing Authority, the Sacramento Council of Governments, and all those things coming together, I think, provided me the knowledge that you need to be a state assembly member. As many of you know, this is a big, vast area that we have. It's 5 counties, and you have to think of everybody in the entire region. It's not just Lake County, it is the entire region. So we have a lot of different facets about this district. We have very progressive, more conservative, more moderate. We have agriculture. Our rural areas have a different look than our urban areas. So we have a lot on our plate in this big district. A lot of travel time, a lot of trying to get in front of constituents, and with COVID, it's kind of slowed us down. But I wanted to just assure you is that from the day one when I was doing campaigning back in 2015, I came to Lake County wanting to know more because a lot of people didn't talk about Lake County. And I depended upon meeting with Congressman Thompson, Senator Dodd, Senator Mike McGuire, and the past Assembly member, Mariko Yamada, to find out more. What was the really heart and soul of Lake County? And I did that also by meeting with all the electeds, all the educators, the healthcare providers, tribal interests, business community, and farmers, agriculture, to find out what was the breadth of Lake County. And it was really entirely exciting because everybody wanted something new. Everybody wanted to make sure they weren't left at the table. And, so my big thing with this district was that I wanted to make sure Lake County had a voice. And we have done that, and I'm sure during our conversation, I'll be able to share some of the wonderful things that we have done for Lake County, how much money we have brought into the county. And I'm really excited to announce that we just brought in today, the Hope Center will be getting $3.38 million for 20 homeless homes towards getting them a home, homelessness. And that's opening up October 1st. We're having a groundbreaking soon. And the Scotts Valley Band of Como Indians, $1.24 million. So we're bringing in some good money to help our homeless issues in Lake County. And I was honored just to be able to share that with you today. It's just coming out in a press release this afternoon. So again, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I look forward to the conversation.
Thank you very much. Matt Nelson, our other candidate, please introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes.
All right, well, thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Joe and Jake. Cecilia, it's a pleasure to meet you finally, and happy belated birthday, by the way. You know, the reason why I chose to run is because of the issues that we've seen progress over the years. And I'm not exactly sure. I can hear in Cecilia's voice that it's genuine to her, how she wants to help. Where I'm coming from is we need to speak with and for the people and give the people their government back to them, where they're giving us the opportunity. We're not dependent upon the government to give them the opportunity. My background, I started as a volunteer back in Boy Scouts when I was 6 years old. And then from there, I went into police cadets with Ukiah Police Department all through my high school years. From there, I went to the Mendocino County Sheriff Search and Rescue and volunteered there. From there, I was going into tribal police and the Hopland Band of Pomo Indians, and worked there for a few years. I went to work for the family business at Nelson Auto Glass in Ukiah, which was in business for 20 some years. After my grandfather passed away, I stepped in and helped out with my uncle and everything. And then from there, I worked for American Linen. I was a Teamster for a while, so I got a taste of the union from the private sector. I missed law enforcement, wanted to get back into it, put my application in with the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office in Corrections, and was hired on, went through all that background and all that good stuff, and worked there for a few years. And, you know, my wife, Jennifer, she's from St. Louis, and with her grandfather, who ended up passing away, we moved back to St. Louis. So I left the Sheriff's Department and became a corporate security manager, where I managed over 240 employees, and it was in the greater St. Louis area. So that was interesting. But at the same time, I was a volunteer firefighter for Mitchell, Illinois. And then we decided, after Jennifer finished her master's degree, we came back here and ended up in Lake County in 2014. Since then, I've helped out with the fires ever since then, running multiple evacuation centers and helping thousands of people, boots on the ground, and speaking with the people, knowing what their needs are. I've gotten to know them personally, and we really need a change here in California because we're seeing it progressively get worse. So that's where we're at. I'm looking forward to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will start with our first question, and this question will go to Matt. If you are elected to the California Assembly, what would be your top priority action to benefit the people in California that you will represent?
I have multiple. A few top priorities. I know you said one, but there's quite a few top priorities. First and foremost, something that serves here locally is the ongoing issues with the homelessness. I understand that the Operation Home Key and whatnot is going forward, but at what cost? Taxpayers are paying a tremendous amount of money continuously on something that should have been resolved years ago by releasing inmates from prisons, 18,000 inmates just this year alone under the guise of COVID, when actually it was under Prop 57 that was the go-ahead for that. But we have seen the increase of homelessness just explode. If we didn't have the COVID pandemic, we would have had some sort of a plague. And that was from Dr. Drew Pinsky that even explained that. Homelessness is an absolute priority that needs to be resolved in a orderly fashion, not just something that's going to be a Band-Aid and throwing money at something that just is not going to solve the problem. I have come up with plans to resolve the homeless issue that would integrate with probably something else that's going to come up as a question due to wildfire and forest management, to create vocational training and jobs and whatnot, which if that question comes up, I'll be happy to touch more on that. But the other thing too is the Canocti Lookout Tower. That's another huge thing that serves a majority of the counties, 6 counties in Assembly District 4. Canocti Lookout Tower was told that there is no state funds. We need to see to it that that lookout tower is up and running, functional, and I would like to see it done within the next few months because we sure could have used it this year. There's plenty of other things that I need to lay out, but those are the top 2 priorities that I can think of right off top, and I'm probably running low on time here. Yep.
Cecilia.
So one of my very top issues is that I always think of the entire district is the lack of access. So whether it's transportation, whether it's education, whether it's job creation, but the number one thing that has really come to the surface this year was healthcare. And healthcare access is important for every single individual within our this district, as well as the state of California, whether you're in rural areas or in urban areas. Healthcare access, I did a couple of bills on telehealth. Telehealth is the #1 bill in the entire nation I authored this year. People are looking to what we did in California to be able that our constituents are able to see a doctor, whether it's via a telephone or a Zoom call or a Skype, and be able to have that one-on-one interaction with the doctors. As you know, in rural communities, we don't have enough of our healthcare providers. Why? Because it's difficult to sometimes live in a rural area, right? And so it was incredibly important to me that we were able to figure a way for healthcare access. And we noticed that when we came up and did our tour of the entire district. Because of this telehealth bill that went through, we have seen a 750% increase of mental health patients going to their actual appointment. They're being able to have their behavioral health appointments online and be able to help them out. So telehealth by far is crucial. It's keeping our clinics in Lake County open. It's keeping our federally funded clinics open. It's keeping our Planned Parenthoods open. Because of this telehealth, it's getting funded. And it gives our clinics and our areas financial stability.
Thank you. The next question will go to Cecilia first, and that is, what is your position regarding the origins of the wildfires throughout California And what do you propose we do to prevent future wildfires of the magnitude we are experiencing?
Well, let's see, do I unmute here? Well, as we know, they have been for the past 5 years, all of us have been fighting fires. And it breaks my heart today that we are having a conversation about fires, and I have fires down in St. Helena, and hopefully that community won't be taken by the fires. There's so many things with the fires. Is it a lack of infrastructure, being we're taking care of that, meaning our utilities? Is it climate change? Is it the lack of forest management? There's so many questions that we have. We have done a lot in the state of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of trying to help prevent fires. This past year, I voted on numerous bills for fire prevention, for more equipment, to make sure we had the resources. One thing that I will say that I was taken back on was that we let something happen that we probably should rethink. And that is that our prison population that were able to go out and be hand crews, we really used to use those a lot. And it would have been nice to have that force this year. And unfortunately, many of those inmates were released because of COVID. And that was one thing that I think that we could have done better on. However, we did have a bill this year that passed that if someone was incarcerated and they have done their time, they have the chance to actually apply to be on a fire crew going forward. And that wasn't there before. But there's a lot of things that go together. And the other part is educating my urban colleagues on how fires start and the importance of forest management and preparation.
Thank you. Matt, the question is now yours.
So I'm going to cut to the chase on that one. You know, the fires here, we need to handle the forest management as top priority. Is to get the government, meaning the state government, to stop allowing the environmentalists, the lobbyists, from controlling everything. And that's been happening for the last 30 to 40 years, where, you know, the Save a Tree and the Earth Firsters, all this stuff, shut down logging, and they were actually what we saw as domestic terrorists. They were driving stakes into trees and, you know, pipe bombs, Marion Barry, all those people. We had a lot of problems back in the 80s, especially, and into the 90s. And it brought logging to its knees, killed a lot of jobs, ended up 30, 40 years down the road, present day. Now we're killing people because of the fires and the fuels that the forests have created. So here's my idea. Here's how we're going to fix this. I'm going to integrate it into the first question. What I want to see is a good friend of mine brought this idea up to me. She used to work in Washington in her younger years with what was called the YACC. It's the Young Adults Conservation Corps. And my idea is to bring something like that back, okay? And they would be able to not only have vocational training and other job training skills, have those jobs out in the wilderness and the vegetation, forest, what have you, making wages, building relationships, cleaning our forests, reducing the fuels, and we can also integrate the homeless in there so that we can have them be a contributing part of society once again. But we have got to get California, the state government, to cooperate and release the 57% of the national forest environmentalist laws. That way the federal can come in and help us.
Thank you. Our next question, and we're still talking about fire, and Matt goes first on this one. What specific short-term actions would you take for fire prevention before the 2021 fire season?
I have a question for Cecilia, if she could jump in on this too. if I could preface real quick. So I understand that the Konocti Tower is an essential tool. 4 battalion chiefs from CAL FIRE have expressed to me, plus Chris Rivera, who is the director of the lookout tower. They have expressed the necessity for having a human up there. And I've been up there. I can see how important it is to have some human eye up there, right? I know that a couple of months ago, Cecilia was quoted in, I believe it was the Record B, stating that there was no state funds for the rehabilitation, of the Konocti Lookout Tower, but it was between $10,000 and $50,000. If we can get $15 million for the Middle Creek project, which is on hold because of people that are property owners that are not leaving, so that can't go forward. Now we have $15 million sitting there. You know, we have the fire low water bridge that was put in Road 40, $2.5 million. That bridge still isn't built, but the money is there. Cecilia got that, but the money, there's no follow through. As a state representative and a leader, we need to make sure that those jobs of which we're being asked to get the money for, get that done. My question is, Cecilia, could you get that money for the Konocti Lookout Tower before Christmas time? And if you're willing to, if the state doesn't have the budget, would you be willing to use campaign contributions to do the 50,000? That's an immediate need. Thank you. Sorry.
All right, thank you. Cecilia?
Sure. So all along, I have done worked on renewed efforts to promote forest management. Forest management, biomass, forest management, biomass energy, and I will answer your question, Matt, which I don't know that I should be, but I will answer it. Is that we have asked for the funding for that, and CAL FIRE needed the money for other things this year. It was much more than a $50,000 to $100,000 project. By law, I cannot use campaign funds, and you will know that, for these kinds of projects. But the fact is that is it an important project? And I'm not going to say that it's not. Is the County Road 40 bridge important? Absolutely. But like any other project that we have, they take time, and the county had to go through their environmental review. They had to do their engineering. They had to get their permits, all of those things. That's why it's not built. Is it going to be built? They're going to break ground in in spring of 2021. So isn't it the fact that you're not seeing, I agree that it's frustrating you haven't seen it, but you know as well as I know, that bridge is really important for Lake County, Napa County, and Yolo County. And we saw a lot of homes get lost because we didn't have access to those back hills years ago, and that's not going to happen again. So your frustration, I can understand, but it just takes time for these things to happen. We're working with CAL FIRE to get the funding for the lookout tower. Is it important? Absolutely. Unfortunately, money only goes so far. And I will continue to work on that. I was approached, the minute we were approached by that and saw the study, we went right after it, and we were told that this isn't the year to ask for that money. COVID has really put the brakes on many of our items that we wanted run in the budget.
Thank you. Our next question has to do with Oak Woodlands, so it sort of ties in. What is your position on statewide mandates for strong protection of oak woodlands, especially heritage trees? And this would go to Cecilia first.
Could you repeat the question again?
Certainly. What is your position on statewide mandates for strong protection of oak woodlands, especially heritage trees?
That mandate, I believe, has been there for years, and it's quite frankly, it hasn't been one of the top conversations, but I support the environment. I would support, I have supported Woodlands in the past, so I don't think that I would have any change on it. My supportive, absolutely.
Thank you. Matt? Matt,
You're mute.
can you unmute yourself?
There we go. Can you hear me okay? All right. So,
Yes.
okay, perfect. Thank you. Absolutely, I support it. Even though that there's a stigma of Republicans and we don't like the environment, that's absolutely false. I think the environment is the essential. We're here because of the environment. So of course, we need to do everything we can to respect it and protect it. And as far as the Oaks and Woodland, yes, we need to make sure that that mandate stays in place statewide. We also need to do more research and studies to make sure that the trees, forests are healthy. You know, the sudden oak death, that's a huge issue, especially around in our areas, in all 6 counties, and abroad, statewide too. But we also have to look at the other forests, you know, with the pines and the bark beetles and everything. We have to get our forests mitigated of dead and dying debris. Otherwise, it's all for naught. So yes, I am in favor of it.
All right, thank you. Our next question goes to Matt first. And Governor Newsom has signed a bill mandating all new cars sold in California to be electric by 2035. How do you think the grid can be made more reliable before this increased dependency on electricity?
When was the last power safety shut off?
Matt,
Yes, I heard. Anyway, that was a rhetorical question. Anyway, it's not going to work for multiple reasons. So the idea is good. Yeah, you know, we want to save the environment and everything, but in the same token, we're going to destroy the environment, because I heard his news conference that day that he gave it, and he specifically, he being the governor, specifically said that we're going to stop drilling into the earth. And he was speaking of petroleum and, you know, oil and all that good stuff. What he's neglecting to say and talk about is the huge environmental impacts and damages it will do to Africa and the Congo and in South America, where they have to dig and find the ore for lithium and other earth and metals that would make these batteries for the electric cars. Now, Elon Musk wants to make a 1,000,000-mile car that runs 1,000,000 miles or whatever. He's going to try to achieve that. You have to have the technology in order to do that. We're 15 years away from 2035. I don't see it happening. I think that that's putting the cart before the horse. I think if we do what we're doing right now and keeping the carbon emissions down on the vehicles, I think the carb emissions, by the way, on the diesel trucks are horrendous. Diesel trucks are actually healthier for the environment than gasoline engines are right now. So all the issues that are going on with the trucking industry, it's killing California. But I don't agree with what the governor has proposed, especially as premature as it is right now. There's going to be huge environmental impacts just in what he's proposing.
thank you. Cecilia.
Yeah, well, first of all, let me just clarify something. What Governor Newsom did is not a bill. It's an executive order, and an executive order gives you direction, and that is the direction that they would like us to go. But I have to say that there's a lot of things that are unintended consequences as we look at something like electric cars right away. You know, obviously there are some, but we need to remember in Lake County, do we have the infrastructure in so that people can have electric car? Are they going to be affordable? This is not a mandate that we want. People who can't afford them, that's going to be an issue. Should we be looking at things that are important? What do we do for the batteries afterwards? How do we recycle those batteries? How can we make sure that you can drive all the way around Lake County on one charge? I mean, there's so many things that we have not answered completely. And the thing we need to also look at is that the entire grid. The grid is so important, as we've seen on the brownouts. And I think that we should be looking at the entire energy portfolio. And the portfolio should and must include geothermal so that we keep Calpine in business. And it has to include biomass with all the trees that are down. So we have a lot more to do. Sometimes we get focused on just a couple of things of wind and sun. And the fact of the matter is that there's a lot more out there that we're not working on together. So I have put together, trying to do a scoping plan so that we look at all of these energy opportunities to make sure that if the sun's not shining and the wind's not blowing, that we still have ways to power our electric vehicles if indeed we go that direction. So, my fear is that we're going to give tax breaks to the wealthy, and that's not fair. And so I think that the executive order is giving us direction of where, and giving a notion to the industry and to the market of where the state of California wants to go.
Thank you. Our next question goes to Cecilia first. How would you help local, small, and intermediate-sized ranchers and farmers?
Well, I'm a farmer myself, and when my father passed away, my brothers and I have an 80-acre ranch. So there's 4 of us on an 80-acre, or owning an 80-acre ranch. It's small, and until he had passed away, he would do all the paperwork, right? And he was a very proud man. And when he passed away, all of a sudden we were given all the paperwork to do, and I knew it was overwhelming. But as a small businessman, and to do everything for farming is so difficult. The problem I feel is that we need to educate my colleagues in urban areas so that when we do legislation and policy, that we understand the effects that it does, the unintended consequences it does for a small farmer. It's been very difficult for, I think, many of us this time of year with COVID. We have to make sure that our workers are healthy. We got to make sure they're being tested. We have workers' comp issues. So I think that what we need to do is we need to take a reset. Maybe this is a good time for a reset and investigate workers' comp, investigate housing for our farm workers. We need to be very supportive of the farmers because we are the lifeblood. We need to understand the trade and the implications on trade. We need to understand how we can feed the hungry along the way as well, and maybe get credits. I have farmers that are very large farmers that I know that their children don't want to be in the farming industry, but there are small farmers that would like to be in the industry. They want to farm 30, 40 acres. Maybe we should work with these established farmers and do a tax incentive and help these smaller farmers get in the business. We're the bread bowl, we're the salad bowl of the whole nation, and we have to honor our farmers.
Thank you. Matt, your turn.
All right. Cecilia, I don't mean any disrespect whatsoever, but I'm going to preface this. My family came from the island of Four back in the turn of the last century as dairy farmers. Went to Verde, Nevada, then Bakersfield, and rested in Petaluma, and ended up working. They sold out to Stornetta, as a matter of fact. My grandfather went into the Marine Corps during World War II at 17. He signed my great-grandmother's name, and then after he came back from the war, he worked for Pacific Bell for 38 years. My dad became a deputy. I got into law enforcement, did all that stuff, but none of us became farmers. We didn't choose to. But our families were farmers. I no disrespect, but you're not a farmer. You're in politics, okay? Your family is in farming, and I appreciate that, and I respect that, because same with me. I haven't milked a cow ever. I drink a lot of milk though. But my point is that farming in California is the reason why California is the 5th largest economy in the world. And having the ability to work in the industry that I do now in petroleum for the last 4 years, I work in the vineyards, I work in the orchards, ACO and you know, all sorts of different, you know, Lane Tree and Brassfield, all these places, all the way down into Sonoma County and into Napa County. The H2A, the ability to help the folks that are coming back year after year to help us that are doing it legally, we need to give these farmers every bit we can to help them succeed, because nothing else is going right in this state. We have got to take care of our farmers, bottom line.
Right, thank you. Our next question deals with the CalCycle program, which is collecting many thousands of dollars as everyone goes and buys various products that they have to pay a redemption fee for. Where is all that money going that residents are being charged, but the companies doing the recycling are not being funded or paid by Cal Recycle? So where is all that money going right now? As we know, many of our recycle locations have been closed down. So the question basically is, where is all the money that Cal Recycle is collecting going, and why is it not being given back to the companies that do the recycling? And this is Matt first.
I wish I knew. And I'm hoping that Cecilia can shed some light on this, because I've been asked this question multiple times and I've researched it, and I know that the CRV tax, anytime you buy, you know, a soda pop or a beer can or whatever, you're paying that California CRV tax. And looking back when I first started this campaign, researching, looking at Cecilia's history, I saw that she had visited some recycling centers and whatnot. It sounded pretty positive. It sounded like things were under control. And it was shortly thereafter, something, I don't know what, but something happened. And the only recycling centers that I personally see is on reservations, like the one up in Robinson, you know, for example. And there's a few others that I've seen, but you know, the rest of the time you can't really, there's one in Clear Lake by the Safeway, but where are they taking all their stuff? We need to find out where this money is going. And that's why, with myself being a fiscal conservative, I'm going to squeeze every nickel and dime so that taxpayers are not getting shafted and having to ask questions such as this, because it's not fair to the taxpayer. It's not fair to the consumer. And, you know, if something's going on with China and the other countries that are buying up this stuff, or whatever the case might be, it needs to be resolved, and it should have been resolved immediately after it was discovered as a problem, because I remember it was a big deal, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. Thank you.
Thank you. Cecilia.
Well, money goes into a fund, and we've lost a lot of the recycling centers. And I want to thank you for acknowledging the fact that I have gone to travel to look at recycling centers, because it is a really big priority in California. We were sending our recycling to China and other countries, and we found out it was sitting in massive piles. We need to be responsible for that. So I didn't support a bill this year that was supposed to go for recycling, because I don't want that much power given to Cal Recycle. Cal Recycle owes us a lot of questions. Do we need to redo the program? Absolutely. Will I continue to be working on this? Do we look at producers? Should the producers that make these plastics and these different kinds of containers, should they also be responsible how we get these things recycled? How do we pay for the infrastructure to get the right recycling done? You know, a plastic bag, one plastic bag and the next plastic bag can be made of completely different things, and they can't be recycled the same way. So we have to really take a different look at this. And I can't agree with you. I mean, I agree with you is that what has happened, the programs are have not been well taken care of. There's been oversight. We will continue to do oversight on this. But I will say is that I fought this year that we didn't give power to Cal Recycle like we've done to ARB, and I don't want them to have the power. I think the legislature needs to have the oversight to make sure where's the funding going to, how can we do it, what kind of products can we move into, why aren't we doing some factories here in California that can do the recycling. So there's a lot to this. I will be continuing to work on recycling, and I was taken back that we didn't get a bill through this year. But once it gave CalRecycle a lot of money and they didn't help pay for the infrastructure so we can move these products along, I had to say no on that bill.
Thank you. Our next question goes to Cecilia.
Okay.
And that is, how can we reduce taxation and at the same time increase services for our elderly and improve education for our young people?
Well, that's a multi question there. There has been some tax incentives that have done this year so that our elderly won't be affected. So this past year, we are, and the report comes out soon, it's called the California Elderly, what's it called? It's the master plan for senior citizens. And that looks at all aspects of being a senior, from healthcare to skilled nursing to families taking care of people to tax incentives. So it looks at, and it's given us a plan to move forward. So there are some ideas that they'll probably be come up in bills this year because the plan has been established. It was established by many of us. 3 of us started that adult master plan, and then it went to Governor Newsom, took it over, and he has put a whole group of people throughout the state of California on that thing. So I'm sure we'll have something that comes out of that. For children, you know, there's a proposition out there this year that people can vote on, and if they don't think that's it's important to have education, that's one thing. Your local school boards as well run propositions and bonds. And again, it just depends on your community. If you value the education, you know, it's really pennies on the dollar. When you look at what education can do and help people get out of poverty and to have a fulfilled life. So there are things that are always in the making. Is education free? No, it's not. There's so many things that aren't free. But when you put return on your investment and you're investing on your students from pre-K through high school, that is an incredible investment that we as community members do for our community. So I just got the stop sign.
Thank you. Matt.
I'm sorry, could you run that question by me one more time? Because that was kind of a multi. Thank you.
How can we reduce taxation and at the same time increase services for our elderly and improve education for our young people? Okay,
so as far as the elderly goes, reducing taxes for them, is that where I'm understanding? That's simple. I believe that the seniors have spent a lifetime paying taxes, especially if they are given in circumstances where they are on Social Security. Personally, and this is coming from a Republican, I think that senior citizens that are living on Social Security or living some sort, they should have essentially a break, they enjoy their retirement, so to speak. You know what I mean? We should be able to, you know, California is so generous with the illegal immigrants and giving them free Medicare. We might as well go ahead and help our own citizens and help our seniors. Give them a card that will bypass them from paying any kind of sales tax or any sort of tax in the future that they would have encumbered. As far as our children go, what I would see, it's school choice, bottom line. Having everything go through a public school is pretty much funneling through into one system. We want to have the integration. We want to have all ethnicities, all genders, everybody, and different perspectives of learning from various different angles. And we're going to achieve that by having open school policy. So school choice, let the parents and the kids decide where they want to go. That's going to help them and their futures and start their educations off right and get them back into school.
Thank you. We have so many questions. We're not going to get to them all. I can be very upfront about that. So let's go, and this will be Matt first. Lake County has had a sharp increase in COVID infections. How do you plan bringing this district?
Sorry.
Melissa, can you repeat that? You were singing a song there.
Yeah, thought it was just my end. Thank goodness.
I was singing a song. Oh, well, I didn't hear it, so, and I can't sing.
East, right there. There we go. Our next act.
Lake County has had a sharp increase in COVID infections. How do you plan on bringing this district into compliance with California Department of Public Health orders?
Simple. You know, wear a mask. If you're not able to socially distance, wash your hands, follow the orders, provided that they're the same orders consistently, and quit switching it up all the time. But we're human beings. We're adults. We're responsible. And, you know, by the way, we're doing pretty good. California has seen way worse numbers earlier on this year, and I think we're doing really good. Now, what concerns me is this going into the colder season. Obviously, we want to take precautions and make sure that people are going to take the extra steps. If people feel that they want to get the flu shot or what have you, go for it. You know, I'm not going to sit there. I'm not getting on the vaccination, no vaccination thing. I'm not touching that. People are responsible. They're adults. Take care of it. As far as going out and having a good time with friends and family, do it. Be responsible. Wear a mask if you can't socially distance. Make sure that you wash your hands, but just be smart about it. Use common sense. I don't see any reason why we have to sit in our rooms or in our homes and dwell, because the cold season's coming and it's going to be depression again already. We have seen, speaking of, my wife's in mental health and behavioral health rather, you know, without going into her talking about HIPAA violations or anything, I get the gist of it. I see where we're going into a huge issue with mental health and suicide problems and drug use and everything. We need to circumvent that and just use common sense. So I think if we just stay the course, we're going to be fine and be responsible.
Right. Thank you, Cecilia. Cecilia?
Well, I couldn't agree with Matt more. Is it, you know, wear a mask, keep your distance, behave yourself. You know, the fact of the matter is that we should care for each other. And if we care for each other, our community will be healthier. Those are things we need to do. I do want to say is that I want to just shout out that for the Lake County Department of Health has worked with me a lot during COVID. We're trying to get testing up there, trying to make sure that we could get PPE up there. You know, who's to say if we're going to have a surge or not, right? And if we do have a surge, we want to make sure the county is ready and the community is ready for it. The last thing I want is that our small businesses can't get back on their feet. If we continue to not acknowledge that COVID's there and that our community doesn't help us through that, we could lose some really vibrant small businesses, and we already have. And my concern is that we all need to take responsibility. It's not that tough. I say to my neighbors when they're saying, well, the school's not open, I say, but if everybody wore a mask and followed the rules, our schools would be open right now, right? I could go see my loved one in a skilled nursing home if we all followed the rules, right? I don't want to have the dying, one of my friends die, or a family member die without being there with them. And I am really adamant about wearing a mask and staying at home. And that's very important to me. And let's face it, we need to get the federal relief package done. We need to be very supportive of our federal congressmen and our senators. We need that federal package done. We need to make sure we take care of our small businesses. There's a lot in there for our firemen and our police and everyone, our education. So it's our responsibility to pick up the phone and say, how can I help you? We need to get the federal relief package done.
All right, thank you. The next question goes to Cecilia first, ties right into the prior one. Do you believe in a masking policy with penalty enforcement? Or do you disagree with that, and why?
Well, I don't think that we should have a penalty on it. I mean, quite frankly, I think initially when people weren't wearing masks and then we saw the surges, I think that was almost a knee-jerk reaction. I do know that communities do have some fees. I think that people are become more lax about the fee. I think education has helped out. It all takes a community to do that, right? And a fee is difficult, particularly if you don't have a mask. And but if you're being out there and you are being adamant that you're not going to wear a mask, and people know about that, that's don't throw it in people's face, for crime's sakes. Put a mask on, and having a fee. We have had those in Yolo County. It affected a small business. I don't know if the fees were actually done. I don't know if they had to pay for them after all, and they had a conversation with the business owner. But it's been a contentious topic, and I don't know that we need to do a fee. Be a good friend, be a good neighbor, take care of your community.
Thank you. Matt?
This is about fees, right? Or the fines? Just to clarify.
It's about, okay, do you believe in a masking policy with penalty enforcement?
Okay.
Or disagree with it, and why?
Okay, I 110% disagree. Talk about kicking a dog when it's down. What the businesses, especially small businesses, since the big box chains were allowed to stay open through this whole pandemic and made millions and millions and millions of dollars, while the smaller businesses suffered. And now these are the local businesses that are the local bread and butters that are generally praised by local boards of supervisors and whatnot. And now these same boards of supervisors, not all of them, but there's a few that just go ahead and jump in to the deep end, saying that they're going to apply these fines. The referendum that we pulled together with 2,507 signatures requiring the 2,100 and change that was required anyway, we overshot that to get that those fines dropped. And it's going to have to go through the voter registration, all that stuff. It's a mess. Why do we have to sit there and waste time on something? If the people don't want it, the government officials need to start listening. And that's why I'm running, is because people are talking to their representatives, and they just continue to go outside and do their own thing. They look at it as income. I don't know. Why are they pushing that thing in Gwinnett so quickly without doing true investigation on it. It's money. That's why. Stop with the money. Listen to the people. That's where I'm coming from. It hurts businesses.
All right, thank you. The next question, and I'm hoping we can get in 3 more questions, including this one. Or wait a minute. Yes. What is your position on the removal of Scott Dam that created Lake Pillsbury in the early 1900s? This is for Matt.
Scott Dam was built in 1922. It is in disrepair. It needs to be redone. I am a tremendous supporter of this dam staying in place. As a matter of fact, I remember going up to Pillsbury as a little kid. Like I said, I grew up in Redwood Valley, and we were all over the place up there. And having been born in Sonoma County and raised in Mendocino County, and that dam, by the way, Pillsbury is in Lake County. For those of you that are unaware, if we lose Pillsbury because of fish, steelhead, the steelhead have gone. That's over with. So please don't listen to that story, because for the last 98 years, those steelhead have figured out where else to go and have adapted, just as the wildlife has adapted in the ecosystem that has grown around Scott Dam and Lake Pillsbury itself. Imagine tearing that down and how much more wildlife you're going to kill or push away. Over 1.3 million, I believe, maybe more, acres have burned in the Mendocino National Forest, of which where Pillsbury sits. And where's the elk? Where's all the wildlife going to go now? Most of that forest is burned up, okay? If we lose Pillsbury, we lose Lake Mendocino, because that's what feeds Lake Mendocino. We lose Lake Mendocino, Sonoma County owns most of Mendocino. They're going to lose water. And then it gets pumped from Sonoma County into Marin County. That little dam up there affects multiple counties, not to mention the people that live up there. Huge supporter of that dam. Sorry.
All right, thank you. Cecilia?
Yeah, this one really gets me upset. For whatever reason, I had a conversation. Luckily, the CAO and I have become good friends, trusted friends, as well as the supervisors. And they brought to my attention this issue about Scott Dam and Lake Pillsbury. And I was dismayed, and I continue to be dismayed, that Lake County wasn't included in the discussions. And why that happened, I don't know, but I have really made a big stink about it. I've been talking to the stakeholders. I've been talking to the county. A proposal cannot happen if Lake County's not at the table. And why they thought that was a good idea is beyond me. I agree that there are issues with, as Matt says, is that what's going to happen to the environment things, but no one's had the conversation. And it was done, as far as I'm concerned, behind closed doors. Why the county and some representatives were not included, I don't know, but we have made it, we were adamant that I will not support any kind of legislation, whether it's the state or the county. I have talked to Senator McGuire. He was shocked that Lake County wasn't included, and he too agrees that. I've talked to Congressman Thompson. They agree that we need to be at the table. So we were thrown off guard, and I know that the county was thrown off guard. They had no idea this was coming. So again, we got to be at the table.
All right, thank you. We are closing in on the last question. And just for the public, if your question wasn't read or addressed today, this evening, it's because we just plain ran out of time. So the final question has to do with annual taxpayer costs for the California Assembly's District 4 are well over $500,000. That total includes one public service, office space and staffing, plus staff pensions and health insurance, plus other miscellaneous expenses such as utilities, telecommunications, travel, and per diem. How much dedication do you feel to the business of serving constituents, and do you feel the workload is commensurate with the financial reward? And this goes to Cecilia first.
Oh, hold on. The money goes serving the constituents. Let's face it. I have 11 employees. I chair local government. I have 4 employees that do that. I have 4 district office employees. They take care of, this district's huge, so some of my colleagues only have 2, but I have 4 because this district's so big. I have, what else do I have? I have my capital staff. So I have about 11 or 12 employees that I pay. Yes, they get their benefits, but you have to have a team that can help go through the policy. Easily, I go through maybe 300 bills that we need to read every single year. We've got to do an analysis on those. If they come to local government, I have to talk to local governments, counties, special districts. There is a lot of work to do in this area. There is travel that's included in this, in our fee. Do I work 8 hours a day? Nope. I work 12 to 14 hours a day. You are also involved in other things other than just your policy. You might be on a caucus, the Bay Area caucus, the Latino caucus, the Women's caucus. You have responsibilities outside. Just for instance, I belong to the Women's caucus, and I just gave a check to a young lady here in Kelseyville that I helped raise money for her to go to college. Morgan Cedric from Kelseyville, who's going to National University, $2,500. So the job does not ever end. It is, as you know, with the fires, we're working with fires, getting people back in the homes. We're working with COVID. We're working with EDD. Our days are packed. And if it wasn't for my district team, my constituents wouldn't be helped out.
Thank you. Matt?
Sorry, my border collie was saying hello to me. Sorry about that. Yeah, so since the beginning of my campaign, we went on to the state website. We were able to find out, and Cecilia is correct. She has 11 or 12 employees, give or take. And I found the online, how much she makes, how much they make. For instance, an assembly member, there's, what is there, 80 assembly members, and there's only 79 right now because Melissa got elected to state senate, so there's 79. So, but all of them make 110,000 and change base pay plus 192 per diem, $192 per diem per day, which according to Assemblyman Kevin Kiley, who's endorsed me, it's like $40,000, which he doesn't take that 40,000, by the way. So here's my proposal from the beginning. I introduced this back in, I think, August of last year. The base pay of 110,000 plus the 40,000, I am going to take 75,000 of that. Okay. Now, just to clarify, we're mirroring what Cecilia has going right now. There's a senior field rep that makes 53. I'm going to have one field rep that is going to do 50,000. Okay. Just to give you an example, she has 4 offices. What we're going to do is utilize the people in the universities in Sonoma State and also down in Woodland. So that way we can save money. We're also going to work where my staff is going to take a reduction to pay. Her chief of staff makes 168,000. My chief of staff is going to make 50,000 a year. Instead of having a state car, we're going to have used Caltrans vehicles or a highway patrol car that's been rotated out. We're going to save the assembly members, the area money. Sorry, I wish I had more time to explain.
All right, thank you both very much. And we're going into closing statements now. And we'll begin with Matt. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to save money this way. Essentially, just in payroll alone, to answer your question, it's going to save north of $433,000 just in payroll alone with myself and the 11 staff, or it would be actually 8 staff, plus the interns from the universities. That way we can get both young Republicans and young Democrats involved in politics and join efforts. The other side of the coin is that we are working, and I'm going to do my closing right now. So we are working with Sophia Racke, who was the 3rd person that ran against Cecilia and I in the primaries. I've been speaking with her for months, and she actually interviewed with Cecilia's office once, and she was wanting to be an intern. I've looked into her background, and yes, I know this is probably going to freak a lot of the Republicans out, but you guys got to trust me on this. Sophia is a progressive Democrat, but she is a young, freshly graduated from college person who has some really good ideas that I think she could bring to the table. That I believe that if we have strong Republican representation, that is going to bring our state back to where it needs to be and get things back on track to where it has to be. Otherwise, we're going to go into a very socialist and dangerous communist type of a situation. However, Cecilia mentioned this earlier. Our assembly district is very diverse, and I agree with her on that. We have a lot of different needs. I am pro-LGBTQ for most of you that already know that. My oldest daughter is 18 years old, and so is her partner. And you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that. I support them. Who cares? That's their business. It's none of our business to worry about. We need to stop tripping over the little things, okay? And that's across the board. Where Sophia is going to come in is she's going to show the way with the people that don't believe what the Republicans are standing for, because there's a difference, and I truly believe this, there's a difference between California Republicans and the other Republicans in the nation. And it's got to be that way. It's got to be that way. The only way we get this state back on track is we work together and unify. When I was working out there in the fire evacuations, running those evacuation centers, everybody dropped what they were doing to help. Nobody looked at politics. Nobody did. We dropped what we did. We hugged each other. We worked our butts off, and we got the job done. That's exactly what we need to do now, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, on behalf of the Lake County Chamber of Commerce, I would like to thank Assemblymember Cecilia Aguiar-Curry and Matt Nelson for your time this evening. I know you both have. Pardon me. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I knew I was going to do that. Sorry. Go ahead, Cecilia.
Oh, it's okay, Melissa. You know, it's a long day and we have a lot on our mind. First of all, I want to thank the Lake County Chamber of Commerce, all of you that put this together. I want to thank Matt. Thank you for your kind words and visit today. You know, I want to just, since it's the Chamber of Commerce, I just want to assure you what we've done. We've really tried to take care of Lake County. And from day one, I put together the Blue Ribbon Committee with UC Davis and the Center for Regional Change to look at ways to improve the lake. The lake is your jewel. The lake is your gem. And we need to make sure that continues to be that way. My goal is to see one day a sign on the front of the San Francisco Chronicle that says, Clear Lake is clear, or encourage people to come up there. So I just wanted to make sure that, and the other one is that there has been lots of discussion about Calpine and the geothermal and biomass. I am going to continue to work hard with those businesses. They represent a lot of good jobs for the county, as well as I'm working on the portfolio for energy. I've also fighting for $5 million more for the lake. I put my neck out there. I went against the speaker's wishes I wanted to get $5 million for Lake County. I was told no. So I didn't vote on a bill. And I was slapped down and I was taken the Transportation Committee away from me. Would I do it again for Lake County? Absolutely. I have been there for you. I can continue to build trust in that your area. I noticed that we had the conversation about the Lotus land. There's a lot of questions that I have, but however, they have been going through the environmental process and the process that the county has blessed. So I will be honoring what the county does, because last thing you want me to do is tell you how to run your county. You know, you have a beautiful area, and I don't want someone to forget it. And I put my heart and soul, my team puts their heart and soul into your community, and we will continue to do so, whether it's with the lake or whether it's with Middle Creek, which we helped get $15 million for. You know, we always are looking for opportunities for Lake County, and I think that we can continue to do that. And as we said, this district is huge, and every single day is a challenge because you have so much there. And lastly, just so you know, Matt, you don't get a car. Just telling you, I don't have a car, and I don't have pension, and I pay for my own health care. So all of that is part of that number. And so it's kind of a shocker when you get over there. You don't have a car and you don't get retirement. That's just that job. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thank you both very much. And I knew with all of those questions, I was going to do that at one time, and I apologize for that. It's been a very interesting evening. I'm sorry we could not get to all of the questions, but there were a lot that were submitted. So I'm going to take all of the questions that we were unable to ask this evening, and I will be sending them to our assembly member and to Matt, and asking for them to give us back those responses, and we'll send those to Lakeville News and the Record B so that they will be published, and everyone can get those answers as well. So again, thank you very much on behalf of the Lake County Chamber of Commerce and everyone who signed in this evening. We appreciate your attention, and remember that the votes made by supervisors or state assembly people impact all of us. So it's very important that you've taken this time. We appreciate it. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.